Good morning, sweet people. I'm NanaRose 349, or Rosie from A Rosy Life on Joyful Acres, and I welcome you to my channel, and especially all the new subscribers, which I'm so grateful for. I can't believe there are over 250 people that want to hear some old lady prattle on about tails or what the heck ever. But anyway, I appreciate you. I really do. And I appreciate Griff's shout out. That has really helped me. I think most of my subscribers have come from her channel. I'm going to keep this hopefully pretty short today. I say that all the time, but I don't. And I just want to give you an update, my report in on the weight loss. Today is my finishing 1 month on the plan. I'm down 14.6 pounds and a total of 11 inches. And being me, I was down, I only lost like 0.8 of a pound this week. And I just really felt frustrated. I've been studying where I've written down what I've eaten and looking to see, okay, what am I doing wrong? Blah, blah, blah. But I cannot feel bad about 14.6 pounds in a month. So I'm going to take it and be grateful for it. I've decided I'm going to hold off talking about the diet that I'm doing. It's really not a diet, it's more of lifestyle changes, because it really is making a lot of differences in a lot of aspects of my life. I'm going to try to come back either later today or maybe tomorrow and do another video that'll talk a little bit more about that. I just would like to make some notes and things for that, but I'm afraid if I don't get this out first thing this morning, I won't get it out today. So that's the status. You know, it's hard not to get frustrated, because when I started this channel in February, a year ago February, I was complaining then about being I think I was 168.1 pounds. And now it's just like, I can't even get back to that. It's been frustrating, but I am getting there, and I'm so much further along than I was, and certainly further along than if I'd kept eating the way I was eating. Anyway, so that's enough about that. My sister's doing great on it also. We're both finding we have a lot more energy. I've had a couple of days of setbacks the last few days. You know, maybe I'll share a little bit about that too. I have been on, since I think it's supposed to be Mental Health Awareness Month. That's something I know a lot about. I have been on antidepressants off and on since I was, I don't know, maybe 30 years old. I'm 73 now, so that's been a long time. And the doctor explained to me that you have a chemical imbalance in your brain, that you just don't get enough of the serotonin or whatever it is that my body needs to stop just being depressed. I get depressed for absolutely no reason. I mean, heck, most of us, if we're alive, have reason to be depressed from time to time, maybe often, but anyway, so that has been my plight, if you will, and I've been blessed that when I take it, and it's generally been Prozac or a generic Prozac, but I have always ended up feeling better in a few months, and then I quit taking it. because I had this mindset I don't want my mental health to be dependent on a pill. And so when I started back on them this time, my kids and my kids' dad all said, you know, please promise you'll stay on this, and you know, just so you can enjoy your life a little more. Because I literally, with fibromyalgia and everything else, it's like there would just be weeks that I would be in bed and couldn't hardly get up to shower most days. I might go 4 or 5 days without showering. I'm ashamed to admit that, but that's what happened. And so anyway, as I've started this health journey, I have been able to get off 2 of my 3 blood pressure medicines, and the one that's remaining is really a diuretic for swelling in my ankles that I think I'm going to be able to ease up on relatively soon. My blood pressure is staying just fine with no per se blood pressure medications. My blood sugar, I ended up cutting that in half. I take it twice a day. Normally, I quit taking it in the evening and just took my daily dose. It's not insulin, by the way, it's a pill. It's something that I have controlled with diet before, and I know I can do it again. But so my sugar numbers started looking really good, and so I ended up stopped taking both doses, the morning and the nighttime doses. And then my sugar went up just a little bit. It still wasn't really high, but it just wasn't where I knew it would be while I was on the medication. So I started taking that back again, just the morning dose of it. I'm trying it again today with nothing because the sugar's been at a really good level. So then we get to my antidepressant, and I take 2 of those in the morning. And I decided, hey, I'm feeling so great, I'm just going to cut back to 1 a day. Not thinking about, I've done this before, and the doctor said to me years and years ago, he said, Rosemary, if you had to take a pill, if you had an illness, he said, do you have thyroid issues? And I said, yes. Well, do you take a thyroid pill every day? And I said, yes. Are you ashamed of that? And I said, no. And he said, then why should you be ashamed of this? He said, it's just a chemical imbalance. Your body needs a little more of this to help you be able to function, so you're just not a zombie. And it's like that doesn't stick in my head somehow. But anyway, so I decided to cut back on half of it. I was just taking 1 a day. And it was interesting because my sister and I talk several times a day, FaceTime, and she commented the other day, I just didn't seem to be myself. And my daughter had said the same thing, and I was just horribly depressed, and I had 2 days of just lying in bed. Actually, when I was talking on the phone to Dee Dee, I'd left a message for her, and she called me back last night all worried, saying, you sound so tired, I don't mean to burden you, and you know, I shouldn't. And it was just that I was depressed, and everybody was picking up on it in my tone, I guess. But anyway, so I started back taking my full dose again. I decided last night I'm going to write myself a letter. And I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. Anyway, telling me, reminding myself what happens when I quit taking my antidepressant the way I should, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. And then every time I start thinking about dropping it again, I'll get that letter out. Okay, so that was an aside, which I always do. But I had a story that I thought about that I wanted to tell you. And I apologize if this offends anyone. almost need to preface my whole channel with a disclaimer. I apologize if this offends anybody. When I was young, and wherever we lived, and we moved around a lot because we were always running from bill collectors because of Dad and Mom's drinking, and he couldn't keep a job. So we moved constantly. I only had, while I lived at home, I never had a year that I finished school in the same school that I started in. It was horrible. And I was so shy and this little skinny thing that, you know, just a ragamuffin, and nobody wanted anything to do with me. So having to start a new school 2 or 3 times, sometimes in a year, was really tough. And wherever we lived, and I say all this again, I got through all this. This isn't, you know, don't feel bad and don't write in the comments and say, oh, I feel terrible. It's okay. You know, that's why I'm what I am, like it or not. And, but wherever we would live, I would find the closest church to wherever we lived that I could walk to. And from the time I was probably 8 years old, I would just walk to whatever the nearest church was by myself. I think I just held on to hope that God would somehow save me from my life. And I had to hope there was something better. When I was 8 years old, I was baptized in the Baptist church. And as I said, I went to whatever was closest. My grandparents on my dad's side were Quaker. I attended that church for a while. I attended a Methodist church, a Presbyterian church. Just whatever we were near, that's what I went to. So I lived with my aunt and uncle, Sissy and Uncle Bill, for my junior and senior year of high school. But I also lived with them for a short time in the 7th grade when I was 13. And we decided, my aunts and uncles, the 2 aunts and uncles with no children, wanted to go to a revival at this Quaker church below the house. And this fellow, his name was Barney Pierce, and my dad, who hated God, hated anything to do with God, always said if anybody could ever get me to be a Christian, it would be Barney Pierce, that he was just amazing. And so they told me, you know, they wanted to go to this revival with Barney Pierce. Well, if you've ever attended church in the South, they can get loud, they can get noisy, and I mean, it wasn't like holy roller type of stuff, but the preachers tend to use a lot of accentuation on things that, but if you're sitting in the congregation about to fall asleep, you'll jerk awake when you hear that. Maybe that's why they do it. But anyway, so we went to this revival, and it seems like there were 2 or 3 nights of it that night. It was in a tent outside. And so we all went. I sat there, and so Barney Pierce started preaching his hellfire and brimstone sermon, and how, you know, we were going to go to hell if we didn't obey God. And so I'm sitting there as this 13-year-old who was scared to death to do anything wrong, because our dad would beat the crap out of us if we did. And so I just was really a pretty good kid. Never drank, never did drugs, none of that stuff. I was the adult in the family. So here I am, I'm listening to him. Now let me remind you, I've been baptized when I was 8 years old. But I'm sitting there listening to him, and I'm thinking, I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell. I'm really bad. I'm going to hell. And I just got so terrified. I literally was shaking. And so they did the altar call where they sing a hymn, and people, I'm going to just explain this for people who aren't familiar with Southern services or some other services. I don't know how many churches do this, but anyway, they were having an altar call where they asked people to come up and give their life to Christ. So I was so scared, and I thought, Rosemary, I know you've been baptized, but you better go up and ask forgiveness again. You need to go up and just kneel at the altar and ask for forgiveness again. So my little 13-year-old self went up there and took part in the prayer. Of course, he prayed over all of us, and then I left feeling like, okay, maybe I'm going to be all right. So we went back to Sissy and Uncle Bill's, and Aunt Louise and Uncle Alan stayed for a little bit and just hung out with us. And I went into the bathroom, and when I pulled my panties down, there was blood in them. And I thought, I'm dying. God is taking me now. I have been so bad. God is taking me right now. And I was just trembling all over. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh, wait a minute, I bet I know what this is. And so I called out to my aunt, Sissy, and she came in. And she was terrified because she didn't know if I knew that was supposed to happen or not. And she said, now, you knew about this and that this was going to happen someday, right? And I said, oh, yes. And so she said, all right, just hang tight. I'll go get you a sanitary pad, which is all there was, I think, back then. And there was some kind of a belt that we had to wear with them. I can't remember what it was called now. But anyway, so she brings me a belt and a sanitary pad. Well, I'm just stick thin, skin and bones. And I put this thing on, and I felt like I had a car between my legs. It just felt so huge, so wide. And so I'm trying to squeeze my legs together because I know my two uncles are sitting out in the living room with my two aunts, and I don't want them to know what's happened, and I don't want to be walking funny. And so I'm trying to get out of the bathroom, walking like a bow-legged cowboy, and I'm thinking, okay, just be cool. They probably won't notice. And Sissy announces to the whole room, Rosemary's a little woman now. I just turned around, went back to my room, and shut the door. Yeah. I don't know what to say. There is no shame in my family, apparently. Just no shame whatsoever. All right, sweet people. I will talk to you later, and just send all my love, and hope everybody's doing well. Love and hugs till next time. Bye-bye.